All right, this is to mimic the SCBA inspection station for the Michigan firefighters practical skills station. Again, this is just for the Michigan-based one. I'm sure that if you compare it to other states and standards, that it could vary a little bit. But what I'm going off of are the Jones and Bartlett skill sheets for the SCBA inspection overall, because that is what the state of Michigan bases predominantly what their practical skills are off of. So what they allow you to do is for the SCBA inspection is they allow you to at least disassemble your whole pack like this, and you can spread it out in front of you however you want. I'm a little space restricted. I have a table that's about 1.5 feet wide. So normally I have my pack parallel to me, where it's kind of going outward so that it matches my bottle like this, but I can't just because of space, so I have to turn sideways. Again, no big deal. It's all preference, but I have my frame with everything fully extended before I even go into this. Everything is where I want it to be. It's where I know where everything is located at, and that's what you can do is set up everything where you want it to be. Here's my bottle, and here's my face mask. So my suggestion to those that are testing is make sure that you develop a systematic approach for you. This is just my way of doing it. You don't have to do it exactly like this, but make sure that however you decide your flow is, practice it every time from there, because it will make a difference and it will show if you don't do that on your actual practical day. So I'm going to start with my frame. So I'm just going to move this stuff off to the side a little bit just so that I have all the room needed. And when you check the frame, start from one end and completely go around it to the other end, the exact opposite end. So again, pick your spot. It doesn't really matter where, just kind of start. Again, set it up how you want it. So I'm gonna start from one buckle. So this would be my right hip buckle is where this would be at. So I'm starting at the clasp. It's not damaged. There's nothing broken on it. I'm going down to the strap. There's no frays, no cuts, no burn damage at all. I'm going to test the strap portion of it, and it functions appropriately with the buckle. I'm going to go into the buckle and physically check it. The buckle is all intact. Same with the metal buckle inside there with it. Going into the hip harness. The hip harness has all the stitching in place. There's no discoloration at all that I can see, no cuts or fraying. Now, you don't need to keep flipping the pack back and forth to check front and front and back. Again, have a systematic way. So now I'm going to keep going across the top. So I'm going to check my buddy breather connection, open it up, I'm going to take it out. The pocket itself is intact. There's no cuts, there's no frays, there's no fire damage that I can see. And physically touching everything here, and it looks like everything is good intact, and those back buckles are still there in great shape. Nothing damaged there. I'm going to check the buddy breather hose. I don't see any cracks, no frays, no burn damage, nothing abnormal looking there. I'm just going to go back to it and check. The connection right there is good. Coming back to this end, the metal is not damaged at all, nothing broken on it, no discoloration. Open up the tops. I'm going to check my connectors themselves. I have no debris in there. They look clean, clear, and also no damage to the connectors at all. And the female end of the connector seems to be working just fine. With the Scott packs, when you shove in a male connector, they seat better, so this doesn't really move anymore until it gets connected to another one. Just going to repack it in here. Just kind of put that off to the side for right now. Again, going down into the connection. It's going into the high pressure reducer, which is right here. This metal box, it looks like it's all intact. I don't see any loose screws. I don't see any cracks, no cuts, no fire damage, just a little bit of wear and tear, dirt and some wear on it, which is normal. Going into the high pressure reducer itself. So here's the bottle connector, because these are the quick connects for it in itself. So they function appropriately. Then as I'm looking, I'm touching everything. I don't see any cracks. I don't see any damage. I don't see any burn damage especially. I don't see anything abnormal there. And from here, I'm gonna follow this hose, this corrugated metal hose up I don't see any damage there for it. I'm going to stop right there just for right now. That way I don't lose track of where I'm at for this. So that is all intact. It's not damaged. It's not broken at all. I'm going to check the bottom part of my high pressure reducer. There's nothing there that's broken, abnormal. Checking the bottom plate of the frame itself. It's not dented beyond workability. Normal wear and tear. Nothing cracked on it. No fire damage on it. I'm going to check underneath it real quick because I can. Just it looks a little dirty. And when I say underneath it, I'm just peeling back the hip harness area because I can with this pack. So they don't expect you to take everything apart on it, but if you can move it, you can check it. They want you to check it. So all of the straps in here are intact. No fire damage, no cuts, no fraying. All the stitching is in place. So I'm going to just flip to the other side here. I'm going to go to my UIC connector, take the cap off, look into it. I don't see any debris in there. It is intact, it's tight, it's in good working order, and I don't see any damage on it. Put the cap back on it. Then there's all these different screws and stuff down in here. Don't worry about naming them. Just make sure that if it's a screw that it's tight and it's seated and it's in place. So I'm going to go to this part of the metal frame. Metal frame is not cracked at all over here. I'm going to go to this end now of the pack. This part of the frame is still intact as well. Looks good. No cracks or damage at all. These buttons are still snapped. I don't see any fraying, burn, cuts. All the stitching is in place for this part of the waist belt. Okay, so here is the actual part itself. The other side, left side, I'm just going to take that off for right now, just so I can check this. I don't see any cuts, no burn damage. I'm going to check its operation. Works as it's supposed to. The buckle itself is in good working order. The cup for the regulator is in good shape. It's secured as appropriately. And the other side of the buckle, it's just got some normal wear and tear, but it still operates. And prove its operation, bring the other buckle back over. It locks, and it comes out. Do it twice if you want. Locks and it comes out. So that part of the pack is good. I'm going to stick with the top part here. This is the part of the frame that's going to be up against the bottle. There's no damage. No cracks at all in here. The speakers for the pass device are secured as appropriately. This is the low pressure reducer hose coming out of the high pressure, the low pressure hose coming out of the high pressure reducer. It is in good shape, not cracked, no fire damage at all there. The rubber is all looking good. Coming up the back frame, no cracks at all there, just normal wear and tear. The part that holds the bottle to the frame, that's just looks like just a little bit of the extra stitching, so that has nothing to do with the normal stitching, so that looks good. No fire damage, no cuts, no fraying at all, and it looks like that the buckle itself works as appropriate. It pivots as it should be, and there's no damage at all here, just some normal wear and tear from being in fire. I'm going to keep coming up the pack to where it splits to the two shoulder harness. So I don't see any. I'm going to go to the right shoulder. So as it comes out, I have these hoses that come back out of the frame. They look good right there. I don't see any cracks or cuts or nothing broken on them. No fire damage. Coming to the over the shoulder part, the padding, it looks good. It's clean. All the buckles are set as appropriate. You don't have to take these off because they're doing their job of securing the equipment, so you don't need to really dig too hard into there, especially if you feel the padding. Just make sure that they look good and clean, no cuts and fire damage. Coming down to this, here's where the hoses come back out. They look good here. The connector that keeps them together here is working appropriately. The screws are in it, they're tight. This doesn't move. And if you really want to, I can pull these hoses in and out as much as I can a little bit, just to kind of check them. Just because in a fire, obviously they move. And for what I can pull out and move, they look great, they look fine. Here's my pass device. I'm not going to activate it yet because we're going to activate it later, but it's not broken. The screen is readable. The buttons are in place where they should be. They're not falling apart. All the screws are in place. It's not cracked anywhere. There's no fire damage. And it is in good working order from just looking at it. To the shoulder harness strap, So here's the buckle. I'm going to test the buckle right now. Works appropriately. Going down the strap, I don't see any cuts, no fire damage, nothing abnormal about it. I'm going all the way down to the base of the frame where I originally checked, where I know it's good. So just coming back on it, again, no cuts, no fire damage, nothing abnormal with it, and it's clean. So this shoulder strap is good. Going over to the next one, I have my low pressure hose right here that I can kind of move a little bit more. Make sure I'm checking it thoroughly. I don't see any discoloration or cracking on the rubber hosing, no cuts. Again, these buttons up here, since I didn't get them earlier, they're together, intact, holding as they're supposed to. It's part of the drag rescue device, so I want to keep them snapped. I don't want to unsnap them right now because they unsnap when you pull. So the shoulder strap, the shoulder pad part, again, it's in good condition. It's doing its job. There's no discoloration, no cuts. It's protecting the hose line as it should be. All the stitching is looking good where it is at. Coming down here, the hose comes out again. Just gonna move the hose a little bit. I don't see any discoloration, no cracking. So coming down the shoulder strap here, all the stitching's in place, no cuts. I'm just gonna do my regulator hose real quick because it's right here. So it's connected as appropriate. I'm just gonna make sure that I can disconnect it as needed. Okay, locks in place, and it holds and it's clean, no cuts, no cracks. Here's my actual regulator itself, and I check my bypass, make sure that it functions, and it does. I know I'm not flowing air yet, but I will be in a little bit. So make sure that my purge valve is closed. I'm gonna make sure that my regulator is off, which it didn't click, so it's already off, especially for the Scots. My release functions appropriately. Inside, it's clean. There's nothing broken in there, no discoloration, no cracks at all. My heads-up display is clean. All my lights are right there. Nothing abnormal there either. And the front of it is in good working order too. Just a little bit of wear and tear on the front of it. All right, and then also, almost forgot this part. Checking the strap, the harness part. So no cuts, no fire damage. Nothing abnormal there. Pull it, make sure it works. I think I already did that, but it doesn't hurt to do it again. And all the stitching is in place as appropriate. I'm gonna flip the pack over to the back side. Now I can actually see the hip part. So all the stitching's in place, it's not discolored, all in good working order. Here is the packler, is what this is called. That's seated in there nicely. That's a manufacturer tool that they work with. You do not have to take that out or worry about it. Just know that it is there, it's supposed to be there, and it's secured. No big deal. So coming up the frame, I don't see any cracks on the backside here. And this is a metal frame for the most part, a couple plastic pieces, but it is looking good. Nothing abnormal about it. And this pack, as of right now, passes its service test, the frame part in itself. If you want to, here's where the batteries are for the Scots. They take a little key right there, but make sure that it's on there snug so that you can't just take them out. So you don't need to test the batteries for this. Just know that, hey, this is where my batteries are. If I have to change them, this is where it's done. And follow manufacturer's guidelines. So this pack is clean, and it is in good working order, and it passes the visual inspection of this part. Now, I suggest moving to the SCBA bottle, because obviously you need the bottle for the operational check. So do the visual inspection for the bottle next. So this one's pretty quick and easy. So you just check the bottle itself. I'm just checking for any major dents, cracks, abnormalities, fire damage, other than normal wear and tear. They're gonna have a lot of scratches on them. That's perfectly fine. They're meant to have scratches. Again, it's totally okay. As long as it's not like a deep gouge, it's not a problem. So check it from top to bottom. Checking on the top here. I see nothing sticking out there. Just kind of giving it a good spin. I'm feeling it, making sure that I'm not missing anything that my eyes didn't see. I have a 4,500 PSI bottle. It's a 45-minute. Now, this is a newer bottle. This was bought brand new, 1 of 20. I know it's a couple months past its hydrostatic test date. We have it scheduled for that. Just know that for this bottle specifically, is 5 years. Manufacturer recommendations is 5 years, but there are a lot of composite bottles that are still 3 years. So it's 3 to 5 years for composite bottles, 5 years for steel. Make sure you follow manufacturer's guidelines for it. If you don't know, look it up. So if I were to do this with a Procter, I'd say I know it's 5 years for this bottle. Yes, it's 2 months out of date according to the stamp date, but I know that it is getting inspected here shortly because it is scheduled. And I check my gauge, make sure that both sides match. So it says about 4,500 psi, 4,500 psi. I have no debris in the port that connects to the pack where the air comes out. I'm going to check the fill valve part, make sure that there's no debris in there. It's a one-way valve, nothing can come out, it only goes in. So it's in good shape, the threads are looking good, the protector cap is also in good working order. There's no dents, no big indentations at all, or damage that would prevent this from working. On the lips right here for it, give it a good crack. All right, got some airflow and nothing flew out. Perfect, so it's got air, good to go, and the turn valve works. Perfect. So quick and easy for the bottle. Just gonna put this down right now, and then I'm gonna move over to the mask, because you need the mask as well for the operational check. So I'm just gonna start on the back side. I'm gonna check the mesh here, the part that goes on the head. It's in good working order. I don't see any cuts. All the stitching is there, no fire damage. I'm gonna check all the straps here too. Pull them and release them. That one works. That one works. That one works. And that one works. And there's no damage at all on them. All the stitching is there as appropriate, no fire damage and no cuts there. Check the top button here, and that's in good working order as well. It's kind of buried in there. They don't expect you to dig it up. From what you can see, it's in good working order. My visor area, it's got normal wear and tear, cuts and scratches, perfectly fine. Again, they know that these get used, so they're gonna get a little bit beat up. Again, perfectly fine. But the visor part, or where you can see, looks good. The side voice amplifiers is what they call these, the natural amplifiers, but they don't work the greatest like that. There's no debris in there. They're not broken at all. They're in good working order. They're secure. They're tight. They're not loose at all for any reason. Where the regulator connects to, no debris. There's no cracks there. Nothing's broken or discolored that would prevent it from just keeping air in versus allowing other gases to escape in, which obviously you don't want. Checking the rubber around the face part. I have no cracks or discolorations. I'm going to check the inside of it. Just going to fold that up real quick. Just checking the inside. Physically touching it. Peeling down the inner liner. There's no discoloration. There's no wear and tear from cleaning. But nothing's cracked in there to let air escape, so that's in good working order. My nose cup is secured, which is right here, and it's secured to these as well. It's where it needs to be. And also on the bottom here, if you want to, you can kind of peel that up a little bit to show, yep, it's secured to the bottom as well where it needs to be. There's no debris in there, nothing's cracked or broken in there. Physically looking in there on the inside of the lip as well, and it's connected to the plastic plastic see-through piece as appropriate. So, visual inspection on this and the bottle, I would say is a pass, other than the hydrostatic test day on the bottle, but it's in good working order as of right now, and it is scheduled. So now, you move on to the operational check. So for the operational check, again, you need your pack here, the frame, need the bottle, okay. I'm going to assemble my air pack as appropriate. For this, it's just a drop in. If you have the twist on, make sure you twist it on. I'm going to secure it down. Secures it down well, doesn't flop around at all, so it does a good job there. Now I'm going to turn it on. My low air alarm activated when I turned on my air pack. That is a must that you have to say. So my low air alarm activated and my pass device turned on. Now I'm going to match my pressure gauge on my pass device to my bottle, and they are darn close, or they are matching. They know that they're not going to be exact, but they have to be at least within 10% of each other. My pass device works, as you heard it start to turn on. So I'm going to push my pass device button. So manual pass device works. The disengagement button works just fine as it should be. I'm just going to let it sit here for a minute. I'm going to let it cycle through. I'm going to activate my bypass. Okay, I get free flow of air when I activate it. Just let it cycle through, show that it's going to do the whole thing. There. So show that it works, and it does work appropriately. Now I'm going to put my face piece on. This might get a little hard to hear me. I'll do my best. Secure it down as you would appropriately. So now I can check my own seal by just putting my hand in front of it, sucking in. If I feel it come in, I have a good seal all the way around. So I have a great seal here. Another way you can check it is by putting this on first, turn on your bottle afterwards, because that way it actually seals it. But again, they don't really recommend that practice as much anymore. They used to. It's just one method that you can do. I can check my heads-up display right now, and it is working. I have 2 green lights, and I have my matching green lights on my actual pass device. So now I'm actually going to connect. So I have airflow. I don't hear any leaks at all around my mask. I can see my heads-up display working just fine. Now, if you have an MSA air pack, at this point, you can crack your seal to show that you have positive pressure coming into your mask from the regulator. Otherwise, if you have a Scott face piece like I do, or an ISI, or another brand, you can simply do this. The positive pressure works. Couple ways you can do it. I like just cracking the face piece. That's just my preference, because in that way you don't get the whoosh when you take it off. But the turn-off valve works on the operational check, which is perfect. Now this next part, there's a couple ways to do this too. So this is checking your low air alarm on the pack. So I'll show you what I was taught many years ago versus what you can do now. So what I was taught is you reconnect, breathe air, and just shut off the bottle. My low air alarm works when I run out of air. It's all flashing as appropriate. Turned off to the run out of air. Okay. And my pass device turns off after I activated it. You can take this off because it passed the operation, the regulator, face piece, and SCBA passed its operational check. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You don't have to test your buddy breather. You don't have to test the UIC physically in itself. That's not the point of the station. It's just make sure that it's there, it's in working order if you have it. And again, that's how you check those couple little points to make sure that you get them covered, like especially those newer MSAs. I can't remember what they're called right now, but the second you disconnect from your face piece, it turns off automatically. It doesn't free flow, so crack your face piece to show that you will have free flow with it. Do not forget your bypass valve check. Do not forget your low air alarm when you turn on and turn it off. The other method is when you have everything disassembled, turn the bottle off and then slowly bleed the bypass down until it activates. That's the other method to show that it works when it's coming down from having pressurized air. I was taught you breathe it down because you can kind of control it. You can watch it on your pass device on the gauge. When it gets low, you can kind of hold your breath and let it run. again, it's a preference. Either way, you know how to take it off in case you don't have any air, just quick disconnect. So other than that, again, it's an easy station, it's nothing too complex. Just make sure that you cover all the points because this is a 100% pass station. So, got any questions? Let me know.